Good morning, this is VNN bringing you today's top stories. Novo Nordisk, the Danish pharmaceutical giant, is putting the final touches to launch preparations to bring its new GLP-1 drug Victoza to market. The product promises to bring a real breakthrough for the diabetes community with its unique approach to type 2 diabetes treatment. VNN's reporter John Corporal is live in Athens right now, where he will give us the full insight on this amazing story. John, what's happening in Athens?
Hi Victoria. I'm standing outside the hotel where Novo Nordisk are about to hold their much anticipated launch meeting. It marks the last milestone before they bring their new product, Victoza, to market. And I don't need to tell you, Victoria, that the expectations from the medical world, the healthcare politicians as well as the patients, are huge. This is what the market for diabetes has been waiting for, Victoria. So, here I am, standing outside because actually I have not been allowed inside the meeting. The only people able to gain access are a very restricted and highly exclusive crowd of Novo Nordisk people. OK, thanks, John. While we wait for more information from Athens, let's take a deeper look into what Victoza is all about. We'll start at Novo Nordisk headquarters in Bagsværd, Denmark, where our reporter Robert Smith is speaking to Mads Krogsgaard Thomsen, Chief Science Officer, and the man who is actually behind the development of the GLP-1 compound.
So, Dr. Thomsen, can you tell me a little bit about why this drug was developed?
I can indeed. Back in the late 80s, when GLP-1 was discovered, it was kind of perceived as almost the dream drug for diabetes treatment. There was, however, one problem. The half-life was so short, you'd have to administer the product many times a day. And there we believed at Novo Nordisk that we'd have the technology and the power to turn this into a once-daily product and hence make it the preferred treatment for type 2 diabetes.
And what does this mean for Novo Nordisk as a company?
I think it means a lot. What has happened is many years of extensive development, a lot of challenges, but the results have been just fantastic. And I think, Lotte Bjerg Knudsen and her team from Discovery onwards have done a fantastic but challenging job.
I think we can go over to Lotte Bjerg Knudsen right now. Lotte, can you hear me?
Yes, Victoria, I can hear you fine.
OK, Lotte, can you tell me a little bit about the journey of liraglutide from discovery to now?
Yes, I certainly can. I think as many of you know, the project has been a little long on the way to here. I think one of the things that really has motivated us over the years is that we always had very nice data for the native human GLP-1 hormone, where it was shown that it could actually normalize blood glucose in patients. So whenever the project has had hard times or we had problems that seemed very difficult, we always had those data to look back on and inspire us to solve the problems.
Thank you, Lotte. That's a great insight into the background of this drug. Now, let's go back to Mads Krogsgaard Thomsen, who is explaining Victoza to Robert.
But, Dr. Thomsen, what is Victoza and what makes it so special?
Well, Victoza is going to be the world's first human analog of glucagon-like peptide 1, also known as GLP-1, which is the hormone that we all produce in the gut in response to a meal. It's a hormone that circulates to the pancreas, causes insulin production and release, but only when blood sugar levels are high, so no risk of hypoglycemia. Furthermore, it goes to the appetite center to suppress appetite, meaning that we stop eating and actually lose weight, as we've seen in the trials. And finally, it has other aspects such as a depression of blood pressure, which tends to be very high in people with type 2 diabetes. So the final thing, which I think makes this really fantastic, is the notion that it's flexible in dosing. It's so easy. You take it once a day in a flexible way. So I think it's really exciting.
Thank you, Dr. Thomsen.
Now, let's go straight to our cameraman, who I believe is, yes, he is with Jacob Rees, Novo Nordisk Senior Vice President in charge of launching Victoza, on his way right now to the launch meeting in Athens. Mr. Rees, it's great to talk to you.
I'm very excited, Victoria, thank you. Call me Jacob.
Okay, Jacob, so what's the story behind your meeting today?
Well, Victoria, this is a very important milestone for us in our launch preparations for Victoza. We have the foundations for a launch that will be second to none. We have great global positioning and we have a strong sales aid to support us. And all the key representatives for Novo Nordisk have gathered here in Athens to learn about the activities toward a successful launch execution in their markets.
I understand that this is the first time that all the people involved in the global launch of Victoza have been gathered together. That must be an energizing prospect.
Oh, it certainly is, Victoria. And speaking about first, it's the first time we've been able to fully publish a comprehensive phase 3 program documenting a drug's benefit at the time of launch.
So that means a definite assessment on Victoza's efficacy in the Lancet and other must-read journals for the medical community?
Quite right. And it's also the first time we've had a structured key opinion leader development program in place, along with a high number of interactions secured well before the launch date. As part of our campaign, we have, at this point, we are fully prepared and have a robust disease awareness program in place. That is a first. As is the fact that we have a core value dossier in place with convincing data to meet the demands of payers and policymakers. All of this we have in place well before this drug hits the market.
That's a lot of firsts, Jakob. But launching into such a highly competitive market, isn't there a danger of being overconfident at this point?
Of course, and we have a lot of work ahead of us. And that's why these days in Athens will be hard work, and they are very important to us. We have now reached a critical stage of preparing our colleagues in the field for really taking the product messages to the market.
So, Jakob Riis, what insights can you give me as to what will actually happen at the launch meeting? Can you tell me a little bit more about this?
Well, Victoria, I could talk on this subject for a very long time, but I would like to talk to the team first. I would like to have this moment with the team to ensure that we are all fully prepared to take this product to the market.
Oh, something is happening over here.
Oh, Victoria, it seems like some of your colleagues are trying to get an interview with my US colleague, Andrew Purcell. Andrew, hey, come over here.
Jakob, would it be appropriate for Mr. Purcell to answer a few questions about the launch meeting?
Well, yeah, Victoria, I think that would be great. You've heard my perspective on the launch, and I think it'd be great for you, Andrew, if you could chip in. We're in the middle of an interview, but maybe you could share your views on the launch.
Okay, yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Hello, Mr. Purcell. Victoria Mendoza, VNN, welcome. We're doing this interview on the way to your meeting to get an insight on what will happen at the launch.
Well, hello, Victoria. As I'm sure Jakob's told you, we expect Victoza to be a huge breakthrough in the treatment of type 2 diabetes. But a successful launch is going to depend on us getting our global strategies implemented perfectly at the local level. Now, I work in the US, so I represent the local level, and our job here at this meeting is to make sure that our people leave Athens fully prepared to implement those strategies locally and bring this important treatment to the patients.
But Andrew, can you tell me anything about the actual content of the meeting? Our viewers really would like to know.
Well, we've got all the key people gathered here in Athens. I think they ought to hear a lot more before we tell you anything else.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Purcell.
Thank you.
And now let's go live to the Athenaeum Hotel in Athens as Jakob Riis and Andrew Purcell arrive and kick off the Victoza launch meeting. It sure looks busy down there. Okay, it looks like we have a few seconds before Jakob Riis makes his introductory address to all the Novo Nordisk reporters. So, let's go over to Mike Rulis, who heads up Novo Nordisk Corporate Communications, for an overview of how the global media is handling this incredible story. Hello, Mr. Rulis. From a corporate standpoint, what has been the global media reaction to this new drug, particularly following the release of the impressive phase 3 data?
Well, Victoria, I mean, Victoza has attracted a huge amount of media coverage both in 2007 and 2008, actually more than any other Novo Nordisk product. It's primarily been the medical media who have been excited about the lead data, and then the business media who are keenly aware how important this product is for Novo Nordisk's future growth.
Thank you for taking the time to speak to us, Mr. Rulis. And it appears that Jakob Riis is about ready to address the expectant crowd. You're watching VNN as we go live to the Victoza launch meeting in Athens. Hi Jakob, this is Victoria Mendoza from VNN. You're now live on TV. Mr. Rees, we've been dying to get a quote from you on the launch meeting and your preparations towards the launch in Athens. Could you answer some questions for me? That's great, Jakob. What do you have in mind? That sounds great. So this will be an exclusive for VNN only? Okay, if you have just tuned in, we are live with Mr. Jakob Rees in Athens for the launch meeting of Victoza. We're about to have a live interview with some of the key people from Novo Nordisk who will help us to get to the roots of the story of this launch. Brought to you exclusively from VNN. Don't go away. Welcome back to VNN, where we have Karim El Hashimi, Axel Niemetz and John Dorber from Novo Nordisk. They are just preparing to go to our on-site studio, where we will be broadcasting live. I'm very pleased to welcome Diabetes Marketing Director Axel Niemetz, Medical Director for Germany Karim El Hashimi, and Diabetes Access and Marketing Director John Dorber. You are now live on air in Athens. Thank you all for taking the time out to join me. Mr. Niemetz, if I can turn to you first. The marketing workshop focused on the global campaign for Victoza that includes the sales aid and brand book, with attendees learning how to communicate and apply these tools in their own markets. What are your key objectives in this area?
Victoza gives us a chance to change diabetes for type 2 patients and to lead the GLP-1 market. The purpose of this workshop is also to internalize the message for all the participants, not only with their mind but also with their heart. When the participants go home, the brand book and the promotional aid should also allow them to communicate the message, first of all, to their internal stakeholders, to their colleagues, but also externally to all the stakeholders we got in their local markets.
And what messaging should they use to differentiate this product?
Victoza is the first human GLP-1 analog, and you apply it once daily. The key benefits are, first of all, the significant and sustainable HbA1c reduction. Then you also have the weight benefit, the reduction in the systolic blood pressure, and you have the protective effect on the beta cells. So, in summary, it's a very effective, safe, and simple product for the patient.
Thank you, Mr. Niemetz. Now over to Mr. El Hashimi from the Medical Affairs Workshop. Mr. El Hashimi, what were the core objectives for your sessions?
Hi, Victoria. The aims of our workshops were that all my colleagues got a tangible understanding for the wealth of the medical tools we have already available in order to support the launch of Victoza. These tools help the affiliates to create awareness among the healthcare professionals about the Victoza's clinical benefits before the launch, like now, and in the post-launch phases.
That's an exciting prospect. What resources have you made available to them?
We've been focusing on creating excitement among the colleagues about the tools we already have, tools like the liraglutide medical toolkit, the diabetes directory, expert directory, and the healthcare professional interaction planner.
Thank you, Mr. El Hashimi. And finally, we go over to John Dorber to explain the market access perspective. Mr. Dorber, how are you preparing your team to confront the payers and policymakers who argue against new and expensive diabetes treatments?
Hi, Victoria. Yes, thanks. In our workshop, our objective was very clear. It's to help all our participants understand the market access challenges and the concepts that will help us facilitate broad market access across the globe.
And what will you use to leverage this change of mindset?
Yeah, we look at the global messages. We look at the core messages that we have, and then what we did was we then reinterpreted those into our own words, into our own languages that are suitable for our own countries, but keeping the consistency and clarity that we need for a global concept. And to do that, we facilitated that with the sticky message, the core message document that we have for global market access that communicates core value and cost of control in diabetes.
Thank you, John, and thanks all of you for such a clear insight into the central strategies driving the launch of Victoza. I think it's safe to say that Novo Nordisk is pulling out all the stops to ensure that when Victoza hits the market, it makes a big impact. Jakob, are you still there? We got exactly what we needed. Thank you so much for your help and for taking the time to speak to VNN. Now, we don't want to disturb you any further, so from all of us at VNN, we hope you have a great launch. And that's the way the news looks today. We'll be back at 10 with the News Hour, but for now, from all of us on the VNN News team, goodbye. We interrupt the planned broadcast to bring you this news flash. We are now going live to the Victoza launch meeting in Athens, where Global Medical Director Anders Duer Toft is about to announce some late-breaking news.